You lie awake in the dark doing math in your head. Again, the bills are paid. The budget exists. You've been responsible. You've tithed. You've prayed. And still, your chest tightens when you think about next month, about the car, about the margin that isn't there, about the future you can't see clearly enough to stop imagining worst-case scenarios. You tell yourself it's wisdom. That financial vigilance is just part of being an adult, a good steward, a responsible believer. But there's a quieter voice underneath that one, and it asks a question you don't want to answer. If God is really in control, why does it feel like everything depends on you not making a single mistake? This is not a lack of faith. This is something deeper. It's the silent belief that your peace must be earned through perfect control. That rest is what you get after certainty. That financial security is the reward for never slipping, never miscalculating, never being caught off guard. And as long as that belief runs your interior life, you will never feel stable, because you are not living under biblical financial authority. You are living under the law of control, and that law has no mercy. Proverbs 16:9 says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." Read that again. You plan. God establishes. Your responsibility is preparation. His responsibility is outcome. But somewhere along the way, you picked up both. You started carrying the weight of results you were never designed to secure. You began treating uncertainty as a threat instead of the environment in which faith operates. Here's the truth no one tells you. Diligence without rest is not faithfulness. It is fear disguised as responsibility. And it doesn't just exhaust you. It silently replaces trust with control, worship with worry, and stewardship with survival. You are not failing because your budget is too loose. You are failing because your heart has made money the measuring stick for whether God is keeping his promises. Let me be direct. Stop believing that tightness in your chest is discernment. It is not. It is the signal that you have made yourself responsible for outcomes you cannot control. Stop calling financial anxiety wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is the cost of living, as though certainty is something you can manufacture if you just try hard enough. Order invites blessing. Chaos repels it. But control is not order. Control is the illusion that if you manage every variable, nothing can go wrong. And that illusion is costing you more than money. It is costing you peace. It is costing you the ability to worship without wondering if you've done enough. It is costing you the freedom to give, to rest, to trust, to breathe without calculating risk in real time. Proverbs 3:5-6 does not say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart," and also maintain total control over every financial outcome. It says, "Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight." You cannot lean and control at the same time. One requires release. The other requires grip. And you have been gripping so tightly for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to let your hands open. This is not about irresponsibility. This is not permission to be reckless. This is about recognizing that the weight you are carrying was never yours to bear. The exhaustion you feel is not from working hard. It is from trying to be both steward and sustainer. And you were only ever called to be one. There is a biblical financial system. It does not run on certainty. It runs on alignment. It does not reward control. It rewards obedience. And until you understand the difference, your finances will feel chaotic no matter how disciplined you are. What comes next will dismantle everything you've been taught about money and faith. And it will show you why effort without understanding keeps you stuck in a cycle you were never meant to live in. The lie you've been living under is so deeply embedded in religious culture that no one questions it anymore. It sounds like this: money is a test of your character. If you're struggling, you're either not faithful enough or not disciplined enough. This belief has turned financial anxiety into a spiritual problem and made peace with money feel like a reward for moral performance. But that is not what Scripture teaches. That is what fear preaches when it needs to explain why obedience hasn't produced the results it promised. Let me show you what the Bible actually says. Proverbs 21:5 declares, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." Notice what this verse does not say. It does not say, "The anxious are rewarded." It does not say, "The vigilant are blessed." It says, "The diligent." And diligence is not the same as control. Diligence is steady, ordered, intentional action. Control is the refusal to release outcomes. One is rooted in trust. The other is rooted in fear. Here is the reframe. Money is not a test of your morality. Money is a system that responds to alignment. It flows toward order. It multiplies under stewardship. It compounds through consistency. And it exposes where your trust actually lives. If your money feels chaotic, it is not because you lack discipline. It is because you are trying to manage a system while refusing to submit to the laws that govern it. Look at Luke 16:10. One who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. This is not motivation. This is a law describing how trust operates in the kingdom. Faithfulness at one level creates capacity for the next. But here's what most people miss. Faithfulness is not vigilance. Faithfulness is alignment with a structure that already exists. It is obedience to a pattern, not the manufacturing of certainty through effort. Consider a real case. A school teacher earning $53,000 a year, married, 2 children, tithes consistently, budgets monthly, tracks every expense, prays over financial decisions, and still lives with a constant low-grade terror that one emergency will unravel everything. The issue is not income. The issue is not even spending. The issue is that this person has built their entire financial identity on the belief that control equals security. So every dollar carries the weight of potential failure. Every unexpected cost feels like a moral indictment. And rest becomes something that only irresponsible people experience. Studies in behavioral economics consistently show that financial stress is not primarily about income level. It is about perceived control. People with lower incomes who have clear systems and defined boundaries report lower financial anxiety than people with higher incomes who feel they must manage every variable manually. The data confirms what Scripture has always said. Order produces peace, chaos produces fear, and the illusion of control produces exhaustion. Money obeys laws. It does not negotiate. It does not make exceptions. And one of those laws is this: systems attract increase. Randomness repels it. If your finances feel unstable, it is not because you are not trying hard enough. It is because you are operating without structure, without rhythm, without a framework that allows resources to flow predictably. You are responding instead of leading, reacting instead of stewarding. And reaction always feels like crisis, even when nothing is actually breaking. Here is what this truth does. It rewires how you think about money entirely. It removes money from the category of morality and places it in the category of stewardship. It stops making wealth a verdict on your faith and starts making it a reflection of alignment. You are not behind because God is withholding. You are behind because you are managing outcomes instead of managing systems. And no amount of effort can substitute for the order that makes increase inevitable. Stop trying harder. Start building structure. Stop gripping tighter. Start aligning deeper. The breakthrough you are looking for is not in your bank account. It is in your understanding of how money actually works under biblical law. Now we move from revelation to application, from understanding to alignment. Because knowing the truth changes nothing if you do not build your life around it. Money is a system governed by laws, and those laws reward structure, consistency, and order with a precision that feels almost mechanical. This is not theory. This is how financial reality operates. And until you treat it as such, you will continue to feel like you are managing chaos instead of stewarding resources. Proverbs 24:27 says, "Prepare your work outside, get everything ready for yourself in the field, and after that, build your house." This is not poetry. This is a command about sequence, about preparation before expansion, about establishing foundation before adding weight. The principle is clear. Order first, increase second. You do not build the house and then figure out how to sustain it. You prepare the field, establish the system, create the structure that makes the house sustainable. And the same law applies to your finances. Look at Proverbs 27:23, 24. Know well the condition of your flocks, and give attention to your herds, for riches do not last forever. And does a crown endure to all generations? Even wealth requires maintenance. Even abundance demands attention. This is not about obsession. This is about stewardship as a discipline. The verse does not say worry about your flocks. It says know them. Be aware. Be informed. Be present. Because ignorance does not protect you. It exposes you. Here's the cause and effect. If you do not know where your money is going, it will go wherever it wants. If you do not assign purpose to your dollars, they will be spent on impulse, emergency, and reaction. If you do not automate giving, saving, and essential expenses, you will constantly be deciding in the moment whether you can afford to obey. And decision fatigue will erode discipline faster than any external pressure ever could. Write this down. A budget is not restriction. A budget is a deployment strategy. It is the mechanism by which you tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. It is the difference between commanding resources and chasing them. Every dollar that does not have an assignment is a dollar that will disappear into spending you cannot account for. And spending you cannot account for is not freedom. It is financial fog. And fog does not produce clarity. It produces collisions you never saw coming. Stop waiting until you feel like budgeting. Start building the system that makes financial decisions automatic. Set up recurring transfers the day after you get paid. Automate your tithe. Automate your savings. Automate the bills that do not change. Remove the opportunity for hesitation. Because hesitation is where fear enters. And fear will always find a reason why obedience can wait until next month. Money operates like a military campaign. It requires strategy, not spontaneity. It requires deployment, not improvisation. A general does not wait until the battle starts to decide where troops go. A general establishes position, secures supply lines, and moves with clarity because the plan was set before pressure arrived. Your finances demand the same approach. Decide in peace what you will do under pressure. Build the structure in calm that will hold you steady in chaos. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. And alignment changes identity, not just outcomes. When you stop reacting and start stewarding, you are no longer a person who hopes money works out. You become a person who governs resources with intention. That shift is internal before it is financial, and it is permanent once it takes root. Obedience expressed through structure is not legalism. It is wisdom made visible. Faith does not oppose planning. Faith operates through it. Trust does not resist systems. Trust builds them knowing that God honors the order He commanded. You were never told to live financially chaotic and call it faith. You were told to be faithful in little so you could be trusted with much. And faithfulness begins with the decision to stop managing emotions and start managing money. Build the structure. Follow the system. Let order do what anxiety never could. Let alignment produce what control never will. This is where neutrality ends. This is where you decide whether what you just heard was information or transformation. Because biblical financial authority does not leave room for passive agreement. It demands response. It requires alignment. And it will not let you return to the same patterns while claiming you believe something different now. Matthew 6:21 says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be." Also, read that carefully. It does not say your heart determines where your treasure goes. It says your treasure determines where your heart goes. This is not a warning. This is a revelation of how spiritual formation actually works. What you fund, you follow. What you resource, you prioritize. What you invest in, you become attached to. Your money is not a reflection of your values. Your money is forming your values in real time, whether you acknowledge it or not. That means every financial decision you make is a declaration of what you believe about God, about provision, about purpose, and about eternity. You cannot separate your budget from your theology. You cannot separate your spending from your worship. And you cannot separate your financial structure from your spiritual trajectory. They are connected at a level most people refuse to examine. But you are not most people anymore, because now you see it. Here is the final law. Wealth is not a reward. Wealth is a responsibility. It is not given so you can feel secure. It is given so you can serve with capacity. It is not a sign that you have arrived. It is a signal that you have been entrusted. And what you do with that trust does not just affect your generation. It affects the generation that comes after you. Your financial obedience today is laying groundwork for legacy, for kingdom expansion, for provision that will outlive your lifespan. Stop treating money like it is about you. It is not. It is about stewardship. It is about multiplication. It is about whether the resources God placed in your hand will produce kingdom impact or be absorbed into the same cycle of fear and scarcity that has governed the generations before you. This is not small. This is eternal. This is not just about your bills. This is about what gets built with your obedience when you are no longer here to see it. You are standing at a decision point. You can close this video and do nothing. You can agree intellectually and change nothing practically. Or you can let what you have heard restructure how you live. You can build the budget, automate the systems, align the spending, execute the discipline, and watch how order begins to do what anxiety never could. Declare this out loud right now. I am a steward, not an owner. My money has purpose. My finances have structure. And I will align my resources with the authority of Scripture, not the patterns of fear. Say it. Mean it. Let it anchor in your spirit as a decision you made today that will govern how you operate from this moment forward. Here is what you do next. Subscribe to this channel so you do not miss the next layer of this revelation. Comment below with one financial decision you are committing to this week. Not eventually. This week. Write it out. Make it visible. Let your words create accountability. Then share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because this message does not stop with you. It is not for your comfort. It is for your obedience. And obedience always multiplies beyond the person who chooses it. You were not created to live financially anxious. You were created to live financially aligned. The system exists. The laws are written. The authority is established. Now the only question is whether you will submit to it. Whether you will stop gripping and start building. Whether you will stop reacting and start governing. Your finances are not out of control because of what is happening to you. They are out of control because of what is not happening in you. And that ends today. Not when you feel ready. Not when circumstances improve. Today. Because biblical financial authority does not wait for permission. It commands. And you obey. Now move.